Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. For those of you that have been unaware, I've reviewed the entire season of Doctor Who. We're here on the very final episode. I've been waiting for this with bated breath. I've loved this season. I've loved Sutekh as the Doctor. So if you guys are curious about any of the previous episodes, you can go check those out. I'll put a link down in the description below. But guys, if you subscribe to the channel, I would really, really appreciate it. And let's talk about the final episode, Empire of Death, which left us on such a cliffhanger. We had the return of Sutekh, a classic villain from the Tom Baker era. So really, everything was as bizarre as it could possibly get. And I was so ready for it. And the episode started exactly how I wanted to. Mass death. We're dealing with the god of death after all, and so seeing the death and destruction left, right, and center was a great way to just show how high the stakes were. There's a reason why this character has not returned since the Tom Baker era, and that's because how do you write a character like this without making him win 24/7? It's almost impossible. Yet they did a great way of making him a believable villain with believable stakes, but also a believable payoff. But we'll talk about that later on. But I just have to say the opening sequence left me feeling, flip, yes, they're actually committing to this. They're doing this correctly. We got a bunch of high-profile deaths in this episode as well, which made me go, flip, okay, we mean business right now. Now we mean business. But then, of course, I mean, since this is a Tom Baker era villain, we got some throwback to Tom Baker, which was a lot of fun. We actually saw scenes from the episodes. We saw the original Sutekh design, and it was crazy seeing that version of Sutekh versus the Sutekh we have now, but then also just the way that the show was able to explain to us, like, no, that was Sutekh before he got his full god level powers. So they actually had a very good in-universe reason for why the appearance changed. I did appreciate the fact that they put that effort in, but yeah, I loved the Tom Baker callbacks. And what was great about this is, as we kind of just had that moment within Sutekh where he sees Tom Baker's character, and you really just as a viewer feel, flip, this has been a show that's been running for a heck of a long time, and they're able to continue paying respects to previous eras of Doctor Who, and that I loved. Talking about paying respects to previous versions of Doctor Who, we have the memory TARDIS, which I thought was great. I thought it was a very clever loophole that they went with, especially with Sutekh using the TARDIS as his altar. But I thought it was great. There were tons of little Easter eggs in there. I loved everything about that sequence. Just like looking into the background, seeing what little Easter eggs I could pick up on. That was a ton of fun. It really, really was. But it genuinely got me thinking. At that point in time, there were literally three versions of the TARDIS. There was Sutekh TARDIS, which was being held prisoner by Sutekh. There was David Tennant's TARDIS, the 14th TARDIS. And then there was the memory TARDIS, three different versions of the TARDIS. But then at the same time, I couldn't help but think, cool, what is the 14th Doctor doing currently? And I understand we've kind of got to let that version of the Doctor go. We've got to let David Tennant go. But what was he doing? Like, I feel like we run into the exact same issue we have with Captain America at the end of Endgame. He lived through the experiences that the Avengers went through. I mean, Captain America went back in time. Did he just sit back and do nothing? Like, I don't believe that's in Steve Rogers' character profile, and I don't think that's in the Doctor's character profile either. So why won't... I know he wasn't going to reappear, but I was really hoping that there would be a reappearance of David Tennant's Doctor, just to be present, just to exist. That would have been great. Just a little crossover once again, but again, we don't want to steal from the fact that this is in Sutekh Doctor Who now. Then we finally got some resolutions to 73 yards. We finally understood the perception filter. We understood why it was 73 yards. We understood why that episode existed. And the payoff was great. Like, we understand why there was that entire Prime Minister arc. We understand all of that now. It finally... And I was kind of accepting the fact that we would never get these questions answered. And there's still a lot of questions I have about 73 yards. Like, what was old Ruby saying? But I'm fine with letting it all go now, because we do have that semblance of a, resolution. So I'm happy with that. Then we had a very powerful scene with some great acting once again by Sutekh, and I'm just going to continue to sing his praises. I think he's phenomenal, where he's just screaming out and crying in frustration. But I can't help but feel how much more powerful that scene would have been where he's literally screaming out to a dead universe. How much more powerful would that scene have been if he hadn't cried or screamed in every other episode? And I kind of mentioned this in my previous reaction video where because he's crying in every episode, he's breaking down in every episode, when there are moments like this that feels like, flip, this is it, he has nothing left, it feels hollow. And that was disappointing because seeing him crying, seeing him break up, this could have been just like that moment with David Tennant where he's in the nuclear reactor and he's talking about how he could do so much more, but he still sacrifices himself for Wolf. There's that anger, that pure emotion, like that is the end, that's all David Tennant has. It's the same with the Time Lord Victorious. Those scenes are so memorable because the Doctor is breaking down. His raw emotions are overcoming him. He can't process it. It's powerful, it's memorable, it stays with you. But when in Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor cries in every episode, moments like this where he's screaming out and crying to avoid almost feel meaningless and empty. Then a completely different, unrelated note. There was a sequence with the Doctor walking through a petrified forest. I just couldn't stop thinking of Peter Cushing Doctor Who films. The first one, where they land in the petrified forest. I know that wasn't an intentional callback, but it just leapt out to me. I was like, oh, that reminds me of the Peter Cushing Dalek films. So that was just a little nod. If you haven't yet, I would highly recommend you do watch the Peter Cushing Dalek films. They're not canon to the main Doctor Who storylines, but they're great. Honestly, watch them. They're phenomenal. Now, the episode started to deflate for me. We get to the part where I really started to feel like, really, is that the case? The Doctor saves everybody. And you're dealing with the God of Death. You're telling me the God of Death's deaths aren't permanent? And I understand they spoke about, the Doctor representing life, which was cool. And the God of Death creating life inadvertently because he killed death. Those are all clever concepts, but I felt robbed almost. Like, I mentioned how at the start of the the start of the episode, there was weight to it. Characters we knew and had experienced multiple adventures with were dead. They just got reversed. They got brought back. It almost feels hollow. And I'm not saying I love when characters die. No, I don't enjoy it when characters die. But there is a reverence when characters stay dead. There is a reality to it. Back in Christopher Eccleston's period, the Ninth Doctor, there is literally a scene where he cries out for joy because everyone lives. Finally, everyone lives. And that's the Doctor dances. That's the end of the Empty Child arc. He's happy because everybody lives. Whereas yes, that's phenomenal because that doesn't very often happen in a Doctor Who episode. But what's crazy about that moment where he screams, everybody lives, that's not true. Lots of people did actually still die in that adventure. Whereas in this adventure where we're dealing with the God of Death, no one died. Everyone was saved. And that brought me down a little bit. I was like, okay. And then what really was just a complete dud for me, what was a non-starter, which just ruined the entire suspense I'd experienced the whole season, was the Ruby Sunday mom reveal. The most ordinary person becoming the most important person. And I understand why they said that. I understand the positive messaging behind it. We could all be the most important person. But I was disappointed by that. There are moments where people are genuinely important. And the show's tackled this theme before. If you think about Donna Noble and Turn Left, she was the most important person in the universe for a very serious reason. And this one, she was important because she was ordinary. No, it felt like they wanted to say something creative with their writing, and so they experimented with it. But as a viewer, I felt robbed by a satisfying conclusion. But what was a satisfying conclusion was the ending of the relationship between Ruby and the Doctor. Now, I hate when we actually receive news before a season is finished. Like nowadays, we know when a new Doctor is going to be cast, so we know when the regeneration is happening, we know when companions are leaving, so we knew that Ruby Sunday as a character would be leaving. I just wasn't expecting her to leave in this way. She's leaving because she is happy to be with her family and she's content with her life. That was beautiful. And her final interactions between, the final interactions between her and the doctor were so meaningful. And that scene where she just turns around to the doctor and says, "I love you," that was beautiful. Broke my heart, because they truly have a love. And it's not a romantic love. This isn't a 10th Doctor and Rose Tyler situation where when they say "I love you," they mean "I love you" romantically. This is just a genuine "I love you." There's a companionship there. That's a friendship that isn't just willy-nilly. It's a true, almost familyness. And again, then I'm just disappointed because the season was so short. I wish we got more Doctor and Ruby because their chemistry is electric. I wish we got more of it so that when there's that scene where she leaves, but she says, "I love you," we understand why they love one another. Because this is such a short season. It's so short. And I'm heartbroken it's over. I missed 13 episodes of Doctor Who per season. Because this was a great season. I didn't enjoy all of the episodes, but as a whole, this was brilliant. And actually, I feel like we got the most defining moment of Ncuti Gat was Doctor being the War Doctor. When he's busy staring down Sutekh, talking about how he has to become the god of death. War! He has to bring death. He has to become the monster. I was like, damn, man, this is your big speech of the season. I mean, every Doctor has a big speech of the season. And this was Ncuti Gat was. So yes, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please give this video a like. Do not be afraid to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I hope to see you guys again in the next review. Hey everyone, I just want to take the final 20 seconds of this video to shout out a friend of mine, Pietri, who has been making his own hot sauces. This isn't a sponsored part of the video at all. I just want to shout out a friend who's making a great product. Like, honestly, I have been eating chicken and chip rolls with his hot sauces non-stop for the last few days because it tastes that good. I'm not a hot sauce guy, but I'm really enjoying these sauces, and you can check out the website link in the bio. There are so many flavors to choose from. Guys, seriously, if you enjoy hot sauces, go check it out.